Good evening. We're going to start tonight off with prayer for those who'd like to participate with Councilwoman Garcia, and the pledge is by Councilman Flores.
All right, if you'd like to participate, may you bow your heads. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Continue to bless our city and protect us. And anybody that's going through a hard time, Lord, just hear their hearts and guide them in the right direction. And also to continue to keep everybody safe and warm. Expecting a storm tonight. And just, Lord, if there's anybody in need of help and that to, come out and find the resources here. Thank you for always protecting us and guide us to continue to do the right thing for the city council and also for our ARPA dollars. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Sylvia.
Present.
Councilmember Williams is absent. Councilmember Balls.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Bench.
Present.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present.
Councilmember Garcia.
Present.
Councilmember Flores.
Present.
Councilmember Copeland.
Present.
And Mayor Moore.
Present.
We have 8 members present, 1 absent.
This is a public meeting of the City Council. Audience, we ask you to refrain from interruption, booing, clapping, and any other obnoxious behavior. At this point in the program, I'm going to ask everyone, especially my council people, to put those computers on silent as well as your phone. Please check your phone. Audience, if you could do the same, I sure would appreciate it. Madam Clerk.
We have just one announcement tonight. It's that absentee ballots are available in the city clerk's office during regular business hours for those wishing to vote absentee. That takes us to public hearing.
The purpose of the public hearing is for the public to address council as a whole and for council to hear the comments of the speaker regarding a specific action being requested. Speakers must limit their remarks to the subject of the public hearing. Please state your name and say if you are in support or opposition of the subject of the public hearing. The speaker or the designated speaker, which is the first speaker, you're allowed 10 minutes. Any additional speakers, they're allowed 3 minutes. They're allowed 3 minutes. Then, this is not a question and answer period for the council. The appropriate staff will get back with you to let you know what the results are or what they found, the facts finding. Madam Clerk.
Our first public hearing this evening is regarding the proposed urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township to provide inspections, planning, and services.
I was going to say, did we have anybody to address this?
Hello, Mayor Moore, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and City staff. I bring this urban cooperation agreement before you. It is with Spalding Township. We have been working with Spalding Township, providing inspection services, including mechanical, plumbing, and regular building inspections, planning, and zoning services since 2013. We did increase the prices at the last 3-year agreement when we went up to $11,500 at an annual rate. We did look back and have Spalding Township pull all the permits that they issued the past 3 years, as well as the time that our inspectors and planning staff have spent on this project, and it did not warrant an increase. This has already gone before Spalding Township, and their township has agreed to it. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this public hearing? Last and final time, is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this public hearing? I need a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Madam Clerk.
Our next public hearing is regarding the establishment of Neighborhood Enterprise Zone Covenant 1 in the city of Saginaw.
Do we have anyone here to speak to this subject matter?
Hello, City Council and City Staff once again. I thought I was going to have a project manager here to talk about this from Covenant, but I'll share with you what I know about the project. So I believe that you would have received the two outlines, so we have two public hearings today for two separate NEZs, Neighborhood Enterprise Zones. So I'm only going to speak for the one if that's all right, because essentially they're the same thing, but in two different zones. So essentially, because we are a local unit of government, this is an incentive that the government can utilize. We haven't utilized them in the city for at least 10 years, around 10 years now. But Covenant and the folks in the neighborhood and the healthcare system came to us looking to bring an incentive to the Covenant neighborhood. So essentially what it allows us to do is we are establishing the zones today upon your approval, which would then allow any homeowner or property owner to seek a property tax exemption for up to 15 years on these two zones. So those two zones are what, if we establish them anywhere within there, any project can then get a tax abatement for either a new build or revitalization, either one. All right, then that's all.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this hearing?
I was trying to sign up.
No, it's too late to sign up. You had till 1 o'clock today. That's okay, that's okay. We'll make sure that you get the information and do it for next time, at our next meeting.
Mayor, she can talk for this hearing if she wants to talk in this
Do
hearing.
you want to talk about what the hearing is about? No, I thought she said she wanted to sign up to speak. Okay. Okay. Now I'm lost.
One more time.
One time, is anyone else who'd like to speak to this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this public hearing? Last and final time, is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this public hearing? I need a motion to close this hearing.
So moved.
Support.
It's moved in support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Our last public hearing is regarding the establishment of Neighborhood Enterprise Covenant 2 in the city of Saginaw.
Ms. Cassie, I just need you to get up. We got two different ones. It's the same one, but just repeat it again, please.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Staff. I would like to tell you, So this next enterprise zone that we're looking at is a little bit more southerly. It's still in the Covenant neighborhood. So once again, this would establish a zone on those properties that then any resident, any property owner would be able to come to the city and apply for a tax abatement that would allow them to have an incentive to revitalize their current home or build a new home on any of the properties within that area. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to address this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to address this public hearing? Last time, is there anyone else who would like to address this public hearing? I need a motion to close this hearing.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved in support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Madam Clerk.
That takes us to public input.
Speakers will be called to the podium by our city clerk. You will have 3 minutes. We are asking that you cover the topics you need to cover in those 3 minutes. Please speak clearly and stick to the point. So this is not a question or answer period as well. The necessary department will get back to you with the result, and it will be forwarded to the council. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker is Samantha Jones.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha Jones. I am the executive director of a local nonprofit called Partner Shift Network. We've served the Saginaw County area for more than 30 years, bridging partnerships between business and education. Currently, our programs focus on building up the ALICE population, and we provide success coaching and barrier removal for employment success. We piloted a program that we applied for ARPA funds for in 2021. We were able to pilot it in 2023, and we were able to serve 148 individuals, providing services to people primarily in the 48601 area code. We've had a waiting list for this program since the second quarter of last year. We've only just now gotten through our second quarter waiting list, and we're working on Q3. But we have a significant waiting list. I believe it's about 200 people long. And we wanted to come to you to see about ARPA funds for workforce development, to inquire, and so that you know that we do still have this program out here. It is working. It is, we have about an 80% success rate for individuals after they've been served by our organization. And so we want to make sure that the council is aware that we are still interested in ARPA funds, and we have participants ready and willing that want to better their situation, that are in the ALICE population, which for those of you that don't know is asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So helping those folks who are above federal poverty limit but below what it really takes to be able to thrive and to live a dignified lifestyle. So we want to be able to help all these people up out of ALICE and into self-sufficiency. And that is all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tina Swanton.
Good evening, I'm Tina Swanton. I promised I would come back with an update after the first of the year, so here I am. In front of you, you will have pictures of the building, the site layout, and floor plan, so you have a better idea of what's coming to Saginaw with the food club. Early last fall, I came to you with some numbers. I shared at that point we had secured $3.6 million, and there was about $600,000 pending by year end. We were able to secure some of that. Sadly, I was not able to celebrate that $4 million mark that I really wanted to celebrate, but we are at $3.9 million secured with another $670,000 pending that we'll learn about over the next couple months. You allocated $2 million to food security and graciously gifted us $1 million of that. Again, I could not say thank you enough for that. You're now sitting on another $1 million to allocate by year end for food security. You want a construction project over programs. You want something that's shovel ready. You want a current contract that's been reporting properly. And I have a gap that checks all of those boxes. I think we might be able to help each other out here. So, as you consider allocating the additional funds, please consider helping me even a portion of that gap to keep this project that you have said that you already support on target and on time. I posted the picture of the building last week on social media and have had a tremendous response from the community. I also look forward to hear what Anna has to say with the results of the survey that was sent out as to the city. And this project is about to go to bid in the next month and a half, and we would be on track to break ground late spring, early summer of this year. However, my board will not support the construction to start until all funds are either raised or at least pledged. So please don't be the reason to delay this much-needed project for our community.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Xavier DeGroat. All right, we'll move on to Evelyn McGovern.
Good evening, Council and the citizens of Saginaw. Now more than ever, Women of Color seeks Council's assistance. Last year, Women of Color was grateful for the $200,000 in programming funds received. Unfortunately, last month, just before Christmas, the Saginaw School Board notified us that they required their space back, and we must move and relocate by the end of this summer. For nearly 31 years, we've operated out of only 2 locations. Women of Colors has proven a track record of success that aligns with the purposes of our ARPA funds to reinvest in entities like our organization. Together, we could contribute to building a more equitable economy in our community. To ensure our long-term sustainability, we require a stable foundation to call home. A promising historical property in the heart of the city has emerged that provides women of color the chance to expand, collaborate with other nonprofits, enhance community service, and generate revenue, a stream to cover operational costs by providing office and event space and other programs that support youth and families. And also, it's a qualified census tract property. Women of Color submitted 2 proposals initially in 2021, one for programming and one for capital. We seek council's approval to reallocate the remaining $155,000 from our programming funds to capital, along with $184,000 approximately balance from our proposal. Additionally, Women of Colors is seeking an additional $265,000, bringing the total capital funds to $600,000 to purchase property. Women of Colors is actively seeking a move-in ready space to ensure uninterrupted service provisions. Council, we need your help to secure a solid foundation to call home. And also, you should have a postcard of our youth event, youth-led, organizing plan, Your Voice, Your Choice, this Saturday at the Success Academy on January the 27th, starting at 11 o'clock, and we hope some of you can attend this event. It's a youth event, one of Saginaw's own native young men's, LG Smith will be coming to present, and he's excited to come back to his hometown. He's an actor and well-known national singer, and so we just hope you support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kevin Jones.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I want to thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak. In 2021, I submitted an ARPA proposal asking to help establish a museum of Black experiences. And so what I want to do is kind of report where we are today, and I hope that you will, not out loud, but join us in celebrating some of the accomplishments to date. But, you know, while we were not funded from our initial application, we were still able to purchase a building at 1243 South Jefferson Avenue, a home built in 1857, making it one of Saginaw's oldest buildings and oldest homes. Over a short time, we, established a board of directors, established our bylaws, and we actually began some of our programming. Because the building is, over 175 years old, we knew it needed repairs, and so we made remarkable improvements to replacing the furnace, improving the fire alarm system, looking at Ralph, replacing gutters. We made major upgrades to our plumbing, electricity, interior and exterior lighting. And we also made some Band-Aid repairs to our roof, our foundation, starting to patch up our parking lot, as well as beginning to investigate what we need so that we have a bathroom that's accessible for everyone. We want a museum of Black experiences to be accessible to everyone. We think it's something that it will be great for our region in terms of having a place that celebrates, that honors, that recognizes Black art and Black history, but also invites people in to learn and take in those experiences. We also believe that this place will serve as, will function very much complementary to our other cultural institutions, but by focusing on a lot of our Black history in Saginaw, which we know there's a lot and there's a rich history here. Not too long ago, we held an event, It Must Be Christmas at a Musby. It's kind of our proof of concept. Could we really do this museum thing? And of course, the answer was yes. We had more than 150 people come, and I'm so grateful for some of you that also made it. But we also had a number of young people, and that's what impressed us most, the number of young people that were involved. We know that museums do a number of different things, including contributing to the healthy development of our communities, as well as our youth's identity. Museums also create a credible source of information exchange and exploration for our young people, as well as it creates a nice place for people to visit. And if you haven't seen the space, it's a beautiful space. What we're asking is, consider us. We're seeking about $269,000 for some capital improvements to the roof, the foundation, the parking lot, as well as for the ADA compliant bathroom. So again, join us in celebrating. Don't forget about A Must Be, a museum of Black experiences. And again, when we say a must be, we want you to remember it must be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rudy Hernandez. Let's move on to Donald Stuckey.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. I'm here to speak about the museum that Mr. Jones just spoke about. And just me personally, I would like to see this thing go through. Any help that could be made available to help get this thing up and going would be greatly appreciated, just from me personally, myself. I really would like to see this thing go through. This just being the fact that a place like this would be like the only place in the Great Lakes Bay region, I would believe, and for it to be here in the city, that should be a good thing that, for you all to consider and make this thing, get on board with it, if we're, not, too familiar. Plus the fact that I think it'll really help our youth, because now they'll have a place to go to understand, where they come from, where their people come from, as far as their parents, grandparents, so forth and so forth. Y'all know our people come from the South. Some of these kids around here ain't been South. So a place like this right here will give them a good insight on what it really is. Other than that, that's about all I really got, and thank y'all for your time. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lula Woodard.
Good evening to the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and city council members. I stand before you to be an advocate and to be a support person for women of colors, and that Evelyn has presented our proposal to the city that we need. But also come in the fact that I am a lifelong member of Women of Colors. As she stated, we will be celebrating 31 years as a nonprofit organization in this community in a few months. And I stand as a member. The end of next week will be 24 years of the 31 years that I have been a member of Women of Colors. So I have legacy that I'm building with the group, and I know that we need some more sustainability. We need to expand our programs. Currently, we're working with the 10th District Court Juvenile Center, and we have 26 kids that we see that's on probation. And we need space. We really need space. We are expanding. We are growing beyond what we really thought. After 31 years, we are really taking off. And so being able to, if we could obtain this building that we're looking at 925 South Michigan Avenue, we would be able to do tremendous things that we are more so of what we're doing now, in partnering with other people in the community, other agencies, other groups, expanding classroom sizes, having groups, doing some more amazing things than what we're already doing. And so, and being able to purchase this property, it's a beautiful piece of, it's a beautiful building. It has so much potential. As we can see, our goal was going that way. And so we're asking that you would please, please help us in being able to purchase this wonderful building for the community. And so we thank you again for your support over the years and this past year as well. And so thank you all.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tyron Halsey.
Peace and blessings to the council and community. I'm here speaking on behalf of Must Be, experience, a Museum of Black Experiences. I had a chance to actually visit and be a part of putting together an actual event for this museum. I brought a lot of young people with me, and they was amazed by what they seen there. A lot of them don't get the Black History we got as we was younger when we went to school. We had Black History Week, Black History Month, and we learned about different things. Not so much nowadays, so some of this stuff they lost on, they don't know anything about. So it's beautiful that we have a place here in Saginaw that they can go and see that type of culture and experience that type of culture. I've been a resident here for almost 40 years. I wish we would have had anything of that type when I was younger, because that would have gave me something to do. I'm a creator myself, and Saginaw is huge with creators. We have some of the best creators, artists, musicians, dancers. We have a beautiful community of creators. This place not only has history, but it gives you a chance to be a part of history and make history. We have like the nuance with the youngins that actually create art. They can make history that they learned about or that they went through here in Saginaw and add it to those exhibits. And those things could be seen by others that didn't know anything about that history. They could learn about history and add to the history. I think Mr. Jones has a great, keen idea on what he's trying to do. I think it's an awesome thing he's trying to do. I wish y'all would really give him the help, because it's a lot of us that really wants to see that. It's a very beautiful experience. It's so many things that you've never seen that you would learn about in there. And like I said, being here from Saginaw and being a creator myself, a young Black man coming up, that would have been a beautiful place for me to go and just actually learn. A lot of us didn't get a chance to do that. We had community centers and things of that nature, but we didn't have people giving us the culture. There was nobody teaching us anything. When you go here in this museum, you're taught from the gate. As soon as you walk in the door, you see things that's teaching you. You can ask questions, and there's people there to tell you what's going on there. The exhibits are awesome. They're straight to the point. And like I said, you can actually make history and add to the history. So would y'all please help Mr. Kevin Jones add to Saginaw history and help to express Saginaw history that we don't know about, especially Saginaw Black history. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Vicki Hill.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. Listen, you've already heard from Evelyn McGovern, who is the President of Women of Colors, and I am speaking on behalf. You've also heard from Lula, so I don't need to repeat everything that they said, but you have two handouts that I brought down this morning, and I'm going to speak to Exhibit 1. This was a building we were looking at in the beginning. You see all the beautiful pictures. If you turn to that second page, it's just beautiful. But when we got to the building and we stepped in the building is when reality actually set in. It does not look like that. Some of the rooms do, but this place that we thought that we really wanted, it has more than $100,000 worth of work that needs to be done in that building. So therefore, we are still in the process of looking. If you look at Exhibit 2 that you also have in front of you, this is another place that we really would love to receive, this place right here. Now, this is one of the places that Evelyn talked about that we can expand our services. We can also collaborate with other organizations. We can also bring in income for women of colors by renting out some of that space. This building is huge, it's historical, it's a beautiful, beautiful site. And this is what we're asking. When Evelyn said if you would please move funds from programming to capital, this is what we need. We have not stopped servicing our community, even through the height of COVID. We were yet working. We were yet providing services to our community, to the youth, to anyone who needed those services. We go into TriCap. We teach there every single week. And you know, that's a transitional place for adults. We are there teaching there as well. We have not stopped, not one time. So if you could please see that you can help us, we would appreciate it. We are growing. We are expanding, as Ms. Lula had already said. And we just want to continue to be able to serve our community and the residents of Saginaw. So please, please consider that. And please take a close look at what I've given you. Even though I've given you 2 exhibits there still might be another place that we may be looking at. But this gives you an idea of what we've done so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Naisha Clark Young.
Good evening, Madam Mayor,
Good evening.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City staff, and our community. My name is Naisha Clark Young. I'm a local artist, and I'm the creative director for the Museum of Black Experiences, as well as a board member. At a time when we speak about justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, this is a time for a must be. The time for a must be is now. A Museum of Black Experiences can offer numerous benefits to our youth, providing them with health, with education, creative outlets, social, emotional, and cultural enrichment. A Museum of Black Experiences provides a platform for Black artists, historians, and cultural figures to be represented and celebrated, ensuring the diverse voices and perspectives are included in the narrative. A Museum of Black Experiences educates the broader public about the richness of Black history, art, and culture, which often have been marginalized in mainstream education, fostering a more inclusive historical understanding. This is a life-changing experience or time for our community. By supporting a Must Be, we can make history in Saginaw. Together, we can provide opportunity for tourism in our community. By supporting this museum, you can ensure the preservation and celebration of Black heritage and culture in Saginaw, the promotion of diversity and inclusion, and the overall enrichment of the community and the society at large. So I implore you, when you go back with these ARPA funds, this is something that's going to benefit our entire community. We have the opportunity to make history in Saginaw. And I implore you to not miss this opportunity. Do not miss this chance. A lot of things in Saginaw has been exclusive. Here's an opportunity to explore and to really hone in on inclusivity, belonging, equity, diversity, and justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Lark Allen III.
Hello, Mrs. Mayor, Council. My name is Lark Allen III. I am a professional sculptor, printmaker, and painter. I teach at Art at Delta and Saginaw Valley. I'm here in support of ARPA funding for a Must Be, a Museum of Black Experience. How can I tell you the impact this museum will have? If this museum is up and running, it will be like, in my opinion, it would be like no other place in the country. And I say that because there isn't a place out there that's rooted in a historic community that is actually has a real intent on interacting with the community in terms of programming, especially educational programming toward the youth. This is an opportunity that cannot be missed. Mr. Jones has amassed an impressive collection that's really only comparable to the collection at Ferris State. And just to put things in perspective, Ferris State, for their collection, not too long ago, got over $18 million for expansion and renovations. So I just want to put that in perspective here. And again, we're talking about a historic neighborhood, a museum rooted in history, a history of the Black experience, a history that all children should be exposed to. And I'm not just talking about past. There's going to be programming that involves the past and present and future. That's what a Must Be is all about. So I really, you really have to consider the opportunity at hand here in terms of how Saginaw can be a unicorn, so to speak, in terms of people coming here and enjoying this beautiful space. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, that takes us to council remarks.
Council members, you have 3 minutes as well. You will be beat too. And we will begin tonight with Councilwoman Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to each and every one of the speakers. I did take notes, and some of you I will personally be getting back to because I'm so interested in some of the things that you were saying. Not that I wasn't interested in some of the things some other people were saying, so I had to make that make sense. But definitely we'll be getting to the museum, etc. I'd also like to say thank you all for coming and spending some time with your city council. This council belongs to you, and the people that are not here and that you're looking, I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to see what's going on with your city council. I don't have much to say today. I'm a person of few words. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be a person of few words this evening because we have a lot going on. I just like to say thank you so very much for spending the time today with us. And you all have a great day.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ball.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the city council meeting this evening, and thank you all for the service that you're rendering to our community. You know, sometimes my heart is so touched by the amount of service and how people serve our people in the city of Saginaw. It's just unbelievable. You know, I read that the service that we give to our people is the rent that we pay to be here on God's earth. And I can see that, and especially when people are doing it with no ulterior motives, but only to want to see our community do better. I've been thinking about some of the issues that we have in Saginaw. You know, we have a lot of people that's hopeless, they're seeking drugs and entertainment and material things to make themselves feel better. But we got all you people here that come here every month to tell us how you want to help us serve our community. So with these ARPA dollars, I hope that they can get into the hands of all the organizations that need them. You know, it's a blessing that that money came up so we can improve our communities. Everybody know what's going on in the city of Saginaw, you know, with drugs and stuff like that, and it's a circle jerk, you know what I'm saying? You got one person over here serving them drugs because they ain't got no hope, and then you got other people don't have no hope, think that they sell drugs, they can do better. You know, we got to cut that out. You know, maybe by coming to a museum and seeing how our people was treated, you know, years ago, can help a person maybe get that in their heart where they can feel like they can do something better for themselves and for their community. Because to think about somebody selling drugs to our community is terrible, you know. And then it get to the point where I know people that sell food stamps and stuff like that, and now we got to build a place where people can come and get vegetables in our community, you know, and food at a cheaper rate. You know, I was listening to Councilman Copeland the other day. He works on the Housing Commission, and they were seeking funds from the state or the federal government to build more housing. And they told him that you can't build housing where there's not any supermarkets. Now, it seems like the legislators are putting us in a hell of a predicament where we can't even get housing, our tax money, back into our city to build housing because we don't have a grocery store. That's not fair. So hopefully with this food co-op, maybe that'll help us out some. But I really, really, really want to thank you all for what you do for our community. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ostache.
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome, everybody, tonight. The chamber is full, and that's always good to see. Thanks for all of our public speakers that came out and spoke to us tonight. Really good information. Tina, thanks for giving us an update. Kudos to you, and you're right, that Facebook post did get a lot of attention just when they finally got a chance to see what that building's going to look like. So much-needed service within our city. And like Councilman Balls was just talking about, I too had learned recently when Councilman Copeland had spoke about that, we're just not scoring high enough for housing, and that really, that was really disheartening to hear that. Evelyn, thank you for coming out and speaking, and thanks for the flyer. I have been pushing this on Facebook. I think it's going to be a great event. I am going to be out of town, or otherwise I would want to stop by, but thank you for bringing that out tonight for the Youth Explosion. So again, she talked about that. That was January 17th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Success Academy, 1000 Tuscola Street, Saginaw, Michigan. And also, Kevin Jones, I've been following you for quite a while before you even bought the house on Jefferson, and thank you for graciously letting me crash into the house one night. You said, if my car's over there, you can just stop in, and I did, and he was getting ready to put on an event, so a lot of commotion, but he took me through the home, and it's absolutely amazing. Amazing, the artifacts that he has collected, and I only saw a little bit of it. So again, thank you for thank all the speakers for coming out and supporting Kevin tonight. Just a couple other things I have. So just recently, we had Martin Luther King Day, and I was honored to join, I'm going to try to get this right, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Lambda Chi Lambda chapter to celebrate MLK Day, and it is my colleague, Councilman Copeland's fraternity. Great event. It was held at the Dow, so it was really nice to come out and celebrate with everybody on that. I didn't get a chance to march, but few people did, and it was cold that day. So hats off to everybody who came out there and put their mittens on and their hats and marched to the Dow. As we celebrated Martin Luther King Day, there was a quote that came to me, and I posted it on Facebook. And I want to read it to everybody because I really think we can take this to heart. Martin Luther King said, "We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools." And I think that stands true for every citizen in this city. It's what I love about this city, the diversity that we've talked about tonight. And I do consider everybody in this room and within the community as my brother and sister. So thank you. Some fun stuff coming up this Saturday at Hoyt Park. There's going to be a school skate, and I am told that the Saginaw Valley State University hockey team is going to be there. And so that's going to be going from 12 until 4 p.m. at Hoyt Park. So if you're not doing nothing, throw your skates. If you've got skates, something fun to do. Mayor, that's all I have for the evening.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Garcia.
Good evening, concerned citizens of the community. Thank for views that are in attendance and all the speakers that came out to update us with everything that's going on with the ARPA dollars. It's a great asset to our community, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing in the work of helping you guys as well accomplish your goals. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things that I have in the community. I'm always sharing community alerts. Tomorrow, I know the weather's supposed to be a little bit bad, but down at the Eastside Soup Kitchen, they are actually going to have the Secretary of State mobile office that you can go to, and you can do some state transactions with them from 10 to 1 tomorrow at 940 East Genesee Avenue, Saginaw, Michigan, 48607. And once again, that's at the Eastside Soup Kitchen. So you can go down there, and this is probably the first of many of those events that are going to take place there. So that's very interesting. See how that goes. I'm going to try to pop in tomorrow. Also, this Friday at the Eastside Soup Kitchen, starting at 9 a.m., they will be having a drive-through service of anybody you know that's in need of food. Also Friday, the Radiant Church of God, starting at 11, they do a food giveaway, and now they have where you can sign up online and you can get a number through that. It's a little bit more advanced. And also every Saturday, of course, Old Town Christian Outreach Center, they always have a food giveaway at 10 o'clock. So if you know of anybody, there's a lot of good resources out there in the United Way of Saginaw County that puts that information out there as well. And I just want to say thanks to my colleagues that came out to support me Friday. I celebrated my birthday on National Popcorn Day, and it was a really great turnout. And I think a lot of the city came out to support me, and I'm thankful and blessed to have a lot of great people in my life and still here to do the work of God. So thank you, and have a good night, and stay safe and warm.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Saginaw. We are living in historic times. When we got the ARPA funds allocated to the city, I think we were second per capita in terms of the amount. And so compared to that, the only other time that Saginaw really got that amount of money was when FDR did the New Deal. And with that money, they built the Hoyt Library. It was originally a post office, but they built that. And so I had always reflected on, what would be our Hoyt Library if we were in charge of these funds? What are we going to leave behind that people are going to be talking about decades later? So it's really encouraging to have folks like Mr. Jones or like Evelyn come to talk about preserving old buildings, making sure that there's part of the history that we have there, but also, like Tina, having new buildings that we can kind of show people what we've done with the responsibility that we've been given. So definitely historic times. Speaking of that, the Game of Legends basketball game, it will be the last Arthur Hill Saginaw High game. Will be on February 16th at the Dow Center. Tickets are sold out, so I'm not sure why I'm mentioning it, but for whoever's going to go there, have fun. That'll also be incredibly historic and a great time. For those that are ice fishing, it is cold, but it is going to be warmer than what it was last week. I was coming back from the circus with my son and his friends, and my son's like, "Oh, there's people out on the ice right now." There was a gentleman that had lost his life yesterday that had fallen through the ice. He was 59 years old. He was from Saginaw. He was up north fishing. So just be careful, because it is going to be cold, but not as cold as you think if you're going to be fishing. And then also just I want to have a remembrance for Terry Maxwell. He had passed away recently. He was a community leader, I believe a Saginaw commissioner. If you'd like to leave condolences, it's www.fisherfuneral.com. So Fisher is Fischer. And great man, good public service. So a lot of thanks to him. And then also, if anybody has any information on Keyshawn Banks, Quan Lee, Quay Smithers, Mario Bulger, Pamela Whitson, Ryan Clemens, Roy Whitson, Cortez Hampton, Mazzy Reditson, Jonathan Lamar Van, or James Rodriguez murder, please call 1-800-422-5245. And that's Crime Stoppers. Thank you.
You done? You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Councilman Copeland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to all of our public speakers that came and shared. I truly enjoyed what you had to share with us. I will be honest and say I'm a little jealous of artistic people. I'm not that good. I can't even draw birds. So, but when I see what you all are doing, I saw you guys have a cipher and all those different things. I love to see that movement. Thank you, Women of Colors, who've come and shared, and the work that you're doing, and having the opportunity to speak to your youth that you all have worked with, as well as thank you, Tina, for your update. We are watching, and I'm excited to hear these updates. And then also, Samantha, thank you for spending some time and helping me to learn more about partnership and the workforce that you are supporting here in the city of Saginaw. That is all I want to share. And the last thing I do, I want to thank my colleague, Councilman Ostash, for sharing about our fraternity. But it's Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity.
Oh, see, I knew I would.
Iota Chi Lambda chapter. So, but thank you all. Thank you, community, for coming and supporting what we have going on and the endeavors that we have just to keep the dream alive. You all have, please be safe. Oh, go Lions. Do whatever we got to do. I don't know, and it's snow day tomorrow. Let's do whatever we need to do. If you don't pray, make time this week. We need all of us as Michiganders to come together this week just to support our Lions, because we never know if we see it another lifetime. So let's do it. All right. But that is all. All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You didn't have to embarrass him. He thought he had did something.
You tried, that's all that matters.
Sorry, guys.
Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Bench.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening to everyone. I wanted to add to what Ms. Garcia said, or Councilwoman Garcia said. I think I just saw it post on social media, but also tomorrow at the East Side Soup Kitchen, from 11 to 12:30, they will have room 202 on the road with free harm reduction supplies and free personal hygiene. Like I said, I'm not sure if you mentioned that one, but it's important, so if I said it twice, it's important. But to our public speakers, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the continued work that you're doing, Women of Colors. It's great to hear from you, from Partner Shift Network. But I also want to just add my support and my enthusiastic support for the Museum of Black Experiences. I had the opportunity to spend a few hours in the exhibit that was up and at the Old Case Funeral Home. I'm not sure what the name of the building is now, but it is an incredible collection. It is something that is much needed. It's needed in multiple communities, not just ours, but to start something like this here, it is an incredible opportunity that has an unlimited amount of potential. I mean, we could have elementary school kids every single year in partnership with the school district going in and learning at second and third grade across the board, getting in there and learning these things. And just the amount of work and care that Mr. Jones has put into curating this whole collection. I mean, it's a lifetime of work. And it's remarkable, and it's something that all of us need to see and all of us need to be a part of. And again, it is a huge opportunity that I think that I don't think we'd ever regret supporting. So Mr. Jones has my full support when it comes to anything he's doing. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
It's hard to follow the other 8 that come before me, because they thank everybody. I want to take the time out to personally thank everyone for whatever you do in this city. If it's just pick up a piece of paper, if it's check on your neighbor, I want to thank you. Today I had the opportunity to be at, and they take my thunder with the soup kitchen. I had the opportunity today to be with Dan Kildee, and we served food today at the soup kitchen. Menu was off the chisel. Broccoli cheese soup, turkey sandwich, mashed potatoes, strawberry somebody freeze for dessert. I need you to understand, I say it continuously, and I think people think that it's a joke. It's not a joke. Saginaw is evolving into something beautiful. And if you don't keep your eye on the mark, you're gonna miss it. We talk about what we don't have. I need for people to start talking about what we do have. And we do have a city that loves everybody. It may not seem like it to you, but basically, I don't know about y'all, I could walk on any side of this city and not worry about nothing happening to me. Because somebody know me everywhere I go. The one good thing that I keep saying ARPA did was ARPA did bring some togetherness, but it also brought a bunch of jealousy and evil-hearted. Money is the root of all evil. I know that the council is going to make the right decisions. And I should say this, but as long as I'm in this seat, we're going to make them. Because we can't afford to pay back money. Let's be honest. You don't get money to pay it back. Okay? That's elementary. So this next few days, as Ms. Councilman Flores said, the water, and I don't know why people are not listening. They've been telling us that the water is melting from the bottom up. Now, I'm not a fisherman, so I don't know nothing about that. So if you know somebody that wants to go out fishing, please tell them to be careful and check. Too many people are leaving here because we don't want to knock on their door to check on them. Check on your neighbors. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, that takes us to reports from the manager.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have a presentation this evening, but I just wanted to report a few items first. So we are moving forward with most of the city projects that we talked about. We have our bid for the fairgrounds. We have the bid for additional cemetery jobs. We've already done some of them. And we'll be moving forward with those, so you'll see action on those. I'll remind everybody that the state of this city is February 1st, 7:30 a.m., so we'll see our mayor give her update, and I think it will probably be streamed again as well, so at least on our YouTube channel after the fact, so everyone will get a chance to see that. And I want to thank, too, all the groups that came this evening to give their updates on ARPA, because it's great to hear from them what they're doing and what they're working on, and like to see their projects progressing. And I will, so we had two of the projects, I believe, that did have received some funding already, but I do want to also mention that Mr. Kevin Jones, his collection is amazing. He took me through that as well, and if you get a chance to talk to him for a few minutes and listen to how he's curated that and put everything together, you'll see the dedication for that, and it was great to see all the other individuals come to support that. And history, education, and community, I think that really is what we are looking for with ARPA. So if you have questions about applications or on any of the youth activities, please contact staff if you want additional information. We can provide that to you. Okay. And with that, we do have Anna Colby here, who has been working on our food insecurity study. So I know you're all want to hear the results of some of that survey, and I'm sure that Councilman Copeland and Mayor Pro Tem Bench will be able to add to this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Moore and Mayor Pro Tem and council and city staff for having me here today. So I am Anna Colby. There I am on the screen. I know you know me, so I won't go over everything, but I'm a project manager with Public Policy Associates, where I work on policy research and program evaluation related to food assistance, food systems. Outside of my day job, I am also, was a founding board member of the Eastside Lansing Food Co-op, so I have that food retail experience, and then also I am the vice chair on the Environmental Commission in my township, so also have some of the public service experience that you all have as well. So today I'm here to talk about the food access study. So I know I only have maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and there are a lot of findings, so I'm going to go over things fairly quickly and just kind of and high level, but I've provided a lot of slides that have additional findings. So I'm available for questions or to elaborate as needed. So first of all, the food access study, the methods and the timeline. So I know a lot of you know that we conducted a large public survey, but that was just one part of the food access study. So we also looked at, we reviewed existing data and existing reports and information, so what was existing and known about the city of Saginaw. We collected and mapped much of this data. Some of that I'll show you this evening. We also did a number of conversations with representatives from local organizations and from city staff and leadership. So I have a list in the slides. I won't go over that all, but I believe it was around 14 people from 11 organizations, a lot of the food banks and organizations related to food and food access in the city. And then the survey, we facilitated discussion at a NAG meeting, and now we're on to the findings and recommendations part of this study. So this is the list of conversations. I won't go through everyone we spoke to, but you have that. In terms of the survey, we did get 651 eligible survey respondents that were kept in our final pool. Why I say eligible is that we did get a number of people that were not from, not in the city of Saginaw who did respond. So in order to respond to the survey, you needed to be an adult that lived in the city of Saginaw. How we ascertained that was through a question, and then also looking at the zip codes, so specific zip codes that where people reported that they lived. I will say most of our respondents were women. Most were low income, or that ALICE population that we spoke about earlier. And most were food insecure. So a little different than the population of Saginaw as a whole, but probably a good population of people to respond to a survey about food access. So as a researcher, I also have to discuss the survey limitations. So two important things to know about the survey. One is that it is a convenience sample, meaning that people that knew about the survey chose whether or not to respond to it. So the views expressed in the survey are the views of the people that responded to the survey. Second of all, we had a number of people that were ineligible that took the survey. There were some, what I'll say are bots that got into the survey. There were also some people that responded that weren't from the city. So we took a number of different, multiple steps to clean the survey data and get down to our final eligible survey respondents of about 651 people. I'll say the two things to know about this is when you look at the survey responses, you know, there always ends up being some noise in the survey. So what you want to look for is, you know, if there's a 1 or 2 or 3 percentage point difference, you know, that may not be particularly meaningful, but when we see these large differences in responses, that's where we really want to pay attention to the results. Okay, so now kind of back to the original, or one of the first steps of looking at the existing data. So here are a few maps for you. So, as you know, there are a few grocery stores in the city of Saginaw. So you can see these are superstores and grocery stores in the Saginaw area. You can see a lot of them in the northwest area in the township. You have the two, the Great Giant, the Save-A-Lot in Saginaw. By the river there, you can see the location or the potential future location of the food club. And then also, a potential new development that I hear may have some food, although there's not much known about that yet. This is a map here of the all authorized SNAP retailers in the city. So as you may know, a SNAP retailer is required to have a selection of staple food items. However, as you can see with the data that we looked at the city of Saginaw, 85% of your SNAP retailers are convenience or dollar stores. So that says something about the quality of food items that are available to city residents. This is a map of the food pantries. You can see they're clustered in a few different locations. I will say that these locations are from the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan, provided a list of their partner pantries, as well as 211. So this may not be every single pantry, but it is a good selection of the pantries in the area. So this is, the background is the percentage of people in poverty in a census tract, so the government designated area in the city. And so you can see that there is a cluster. We also heard from a lot of the conversations that there continues to be very high demand at food pantries and food banks, that the demand went up during COVID and that it has not gone back down to pre-COVID levels. Also, that transportation is a barrier. We did conduct an analysis of a route analysis that says that pretty much everybody in Saginaw has access to a grocery store within a 10-minute drive. However, this is not the reality for most people. As we've heard from the survey, for instance, respondents that reported this, about half of them said it took 10 to 20 minutes to get to the store. So under perfect conditions, if you have a working vehicle, if you're willing to go to the store closest to you, then maybe you have access, but that's really not the reality for a lot of residents, and 17% of households in Saginaw have no vehicles. So now to what we heard from the priorities of survey respondents. So one of the questions that we asked was, what do you think the city should do or help others do to increase access to the foods you want and need? The number one selected, you could select up to 3 options. The number one selected option by 55% of people in the survey was attract a new grocery store to the city. The second selected option, I'll say what is food pantries, although there were actually 3 options for food pantries, and so we looked at the percentage of people that selected any of those 3 food pantry options, and it was around 43%. So what that tells us is there's a lot of support, of course, for attracting a new grocery store. There's also a lot of support for supporting the food pantry or charitable food network. However, from survey respondents, there was not a clear agreement as to how the best way to support the food pantry. So the options there were more food pantry locations, let people choose food at food pantries, and expand the days and hours. The third choice there was support urban farms and locally grown food. So we also looked at the survey results by different population groups. So one of the ways we looked at the survey results was by income level. You can see that the priorities change somewhat based on income level, but food pantries and attracting a new grocery store are at the top of the list. Oh, did I skip one there? Oh, no, I didn't. So this is the chart that shows that, but I just covered this. We also looked by race and ethnicity of respondents. So I'll say priorities changed by race and ethnicity of respondents, but attracting a new grocery store is number one for all race and ethnicity groups. And I'll say for which there are adequate number of responses to report. Some groups had small numbers, and so we couldn't reliably break out the findings. So you can see that attract a new grocery store up at the top there has more support, or a higher percentage of Black and African American respondents selected that option than Latinx or Hispanic or white non-Hispanic groups, although it was still number one for all of those groups. There's also more support for attracting a new grocery store from respondents that live on the east side of the city. However, the most selected priorities are the same on both the east and the west side. I will say that this is a literal west side of the river and east side of the river, meaning the east side of the river includes people that live downtown. So I understand that is not maybe officially the east side, but that's how we broke up respondents with this question. I also want to highlight, because I think it's important that there are some groups of individuals that for instance, there are fewer bus riders in our sample of the survey, right? So we did look at some of the responses by people that get groceries by bus compared to people that get groceries by car, because I think it's important that we don't lose the priorities of certain groups of people just because there may be less of them in our survey pool. So I will say that respondents that get groceries by bus are more likely to prioritize making it easier to get groceries from existing stores. I believe attracting a new grocery store was still number one in that group too. But improving our bus or grocery delivery was fairly low in some, overall, but it was prioritized by respondents that ride the bus to get groceries specifically. Respondents are also more likely to say they will shop at a new store if it is near their home, so that is not surprising. Either we asked which areas of the Saginaw Riverfront Business District would your household shop if there was a new grocery store, so the west side, east side, downtown, East Genesee corridor. Respondents that live on the west side of the river, 80% said, or 79% say that they would shop at a new store on the west side. Similarly, respondents that live on the east side of the river, 71% say they would shop at a new store if it came, onto the east side. And then we have downtown and others as well. Quality, cost, fresh produce, and shopping experience are most important when choosing where to get groceries of survey respondents. I won't go through all of those. And then accepting SNAP or food stamps and being close to home are also important for respondents with low incomes. Regarding the food club, so this is restricted for people with lower incomes that indicated that they may have an income that would qualify them for the food club. It's 91% said that they would be very interested or somewhat interested in shopping at the food club. So that's a very high percentage of people that have, you know, either in the low income or the ALICE range. In terms of shopping behaviors and habits of survey respondents, you know, almost all respondents get groceries at a grocery store or a superstore. Respondents with low incomes and those that get groceries by bus are more likely to get groceries from dollar stores, corner stores, gas stations, or food pantries. Similarly, respondents that live on the east side are also more likely to get groceries from dollar stores or food pantries. So that says something to the challenges of survey respondents. The cost of food, followed by selection at stores, stores near me, are top challenges selected. So 78% of people selected cost of food. You could select up to 2 on this question. You will see that people that live on the east side, or respondents that live on the east side, are more likely to report that selection at stores near me is a challenge for them. And people that get groceries by bus are way more likely to say that transportation is a challenge for them than people that get groceries by car, truck, van, or other vehicle. Seafood or fish, meats, and fresh produce are the hardest for respondents to get. So that shows that, but I know I'm on a limited time here. All food categories are harder to get for respondents that have lower incomes or that take the bus. All right, and then I won't cover all of these slides here, just with, trying to stay within my time limit, but we did speak with a number of organizations and city staff for feedback on grocery store development. And I'll say some of the key findings there is there's definitely from representatives from local organizations and from the city, there's a recognized need certainly for a new grocery store. The most suggested location was downtown on the east side. I'm not saying that was the only suggested location, but the reasoning for that was kind of a threefold reason of need, that there's already development occurring in that area, and so kind of it makes sense potentially in terms of market, and that it is centrally located, so perhaps that creates an access point for more people in the city. I'd say in general, people were not particularly optimistic about attracting a national chain. Somewhat more optimistic, or maybe cautiously optimistic, about the potential for a local or independent grocer. And there was definitely from the representatives from local organizations a recognition that whatever is coming or potentially coming to the city of Saginaw really needs to be community driven, and that residents should be leading and making decisions throughout the process. There were also, a number of challenges certainly mentioned about attracting a grocery store in the city of Saginaw. I won't go over all of those, but there were also a number of different assets mentioned by representatives and city staff, including potential incentives that the city has to offer to attract a new grocer, and the fact that you all have great city staff that are very dedicated to the city and what you all do. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. Why don't we have a grocery store in the city of Saginaw. Why we don't support that city by subsidizing them to help with food? I mean, did the study ever thought about anything like that? I mean, we got a grocery store. Mm-hmm. People can come there and get fresh goods. Why don't we support that store to help them bring goods, and people can go to that particular store?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I'll say the study did ask about whether, so one of the purposes of the study was to get feedback from residents in the community, and so one of the questions was, about increasing access to existing locations. And I guess that wasn't maybe necessarily about increasing the food selection at that location. It did rank fairly, low in terms of the priority areas. I'd say there are other cities, maybe not necessarily the grocery stores, but there are other cities that have worked with their SNAP retailers to offer more of a selection and better quality foods at SNAP retailers around the city. I believe Benton Harbor was doing that. I don't know how successful those initiatives have been, but I can report that when asking about attracting a new store versus existing stores, in the survey, there was more support for a new store.
I was just thinking about that. Man, we got a grocery store in this town. The guy come in and invest money and we can't support him, some kind of way.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
And I think there was some feedback in terms of if you are going to attract a new store, there were some suggestions to look at folks that are maybe independent grocers that are in the township or in the city, and seeing if they may be interested in an additional location before going to some of those national chains.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the slide, you talked about the SNAP program. A lot of people don't even know that they're eligible for this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the committee, I'm sure you guys are aware, but our community is still not with the SNAP. When the bill passed, and I was talking about it, people looked at me like I was crazy. What is that? I mean, it's like a WIC program, and it's a limited amount of stuff you can get. I'm not saying don't reach out to our local grocer, but I think that this is a responsibility or something that we all need to tell people about the SNAP program. Just like WIC and even food stamps. I mean, I seen it here where you were talking about that's what needed to happen. So is that a movement that this group is gonna look at? Because the food, when we look at sometimes buying memberships, what if I can't afford it? Then what? I'm right back where I started.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, where is this study at with the SNAP program?
Well,
I think you could, I think the mayor has a good point, and we found this with other programs. Where I used to work before, we did a lot of reviews for counties and different governments about getting the word about these programs. Are you aware of any type of educational program that helps communities show the residents what types of programs are potentially available for assistance like that, if indeed we see there is a lack of usage in the community?
That is a great question, and thank you, Mayor Moore. I am not aware of any specific educational programs in terms of getting the word out about SNAP. I do know that is an issue. I will say, in terms of this study, it was not the focus of this study in particular, although it was on one of the lists of priorities of, do you think the city should prioritize getting the word out about SNAP? It did rank fairly low in terms of the priorities of residents that responded to this survey. Although I think I understand that is an issue, and a lot of people don't know about the SNAP program that could be on it.
Right, the SNAP program is offered in the school district. The school liaison, the people on that committee, you need to bring it up. There's a way that the school, we can work hand in hand with the city, county, and everybody. Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much for your presentation. Surveys are good for informational purposes, and after this phase, I have a two-part kind of question. After this phase, what is phase two? And in that next phase, first of all, with this phase and with the next phase, will you be bringing citizens to the table instead of in a survey sort of way, bringing citizens to the table to hear their voices so they could be heard in your next move, in your next phases as you go forward from here?
Great question. So in terms of our phase, so the community engagement phase was a survey and also facilitating discussion with community members at the NAG meeting. So that and looking, the interviews and the data analysis. So that's the last of the phase that I will be involved with. But Councilmember Copeland
Thank you.
Can speak
So
to.
now that we actually have the initial survey, which we were intentional in getting as many residents that could respond as possible, we are now going back to that $1 million because we wanted to make sure whatever we move with this $1 million, that we have the evidence that says, hey, we're putting aside $200,000 that would focus on shovel-ready development or doing market research to see how can we impact or what are the things that we actually need for a for-profit grocer to come into our community. That's the next step. The next step is now, how much do we want to put aside that, taking from this data, we can then put in forward and saying, there's no questions. We've known we wanted a grocery store. Now, when we're going and doing this market research and we're asked, okay, what data do you have that represents the city of Saginaw? We don't have to say, hey, we have county data. We now can say we have city data that says this is the #1 need of our residents. So how can we as a city, what are you looking for from a for-profit grocer into the developments? We do have some county and state leaders who already have some relationships, who shared some information with us, but we're not going to move on that right away because we only have $1 million. So that's one of the next steps. We're looking at that market research and saying, how can we possibly grow from there? And then we still have some additional ideas with part of our $1 million as well.
I think we fished around that question a little bit. Correct me, Councilwoman. Her question, her ask was, what's next? Are you gonna get the community, the citizens involved? Simple question. What's next? Is there plans for open forum, a town hall talk?
I would want clarification on that, being that through the consultant agency that we hosted those things. So the question is, are we going to do additional? So I don't want to say that this statement is, are we going to finally talk to the residents? There were events held that spoke to the residents, actually went to locations where they were to speak. So the question is, are we going to have additional?
Yes.
I would be okay with that if we have community organizations that would like to host those. Yes, our first step was getting the data, making sure that we as a city did what we need to do to get the community voice. And if we have community organizations that would like to host additional conversations, we will not be bringing them because we're not paying them anymore. So based on the data that we have, we will, Mayor Pro Tem and I, we will be welcome to come, share, review this information, to get the support. But I really, right now, from this data, we see that we need this grocery store. Now we need to see how do we put some dollars aside to start bringing those retailers into the community, and what are they looking for?
Which is still gonna be a part of the community.
Yes, ma'am.
The community coming forward. I know you got it in paper, but let's be honest. It's 651. How many residents we got in this city?
That's right.
Okay? And if we really want to get honest, that's only a fragment of the people that we have. And I think that you all did a fabulous job. But Councilwoman Sylvia had a valid question that time. What do we know? I'm sorry, she know I'm playing, but she did have a valid question. You know what? She know I love her, but I'm just saying, come on, we gotta do a little more. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Concur with Councilman Copeland. The first phase of this was really getting out into the community and collecting the information. And the second phase will be getting out into the community and sharing with them what we learned. And certainly receiving further feedback based on that. But I want to be really clear, Councilman Copeland and I spent a tremendous amount of time, regardless of how many people participated and how many of them ended up being bots, spent a tremendous amount of time out in the community explaining what we were doing, explaining the importance of it and the purpose of it. So.
Is that her? Excuse me.
Is she leaving her
Did she
bag?
leave her purse?
No, she's just taking it
Okay,
off.
okay. Just want to make sure.
I'm sorry.
But of course, having the citizens' input is top of mind, but like I said, the second phase would be more sharing that information and the results with the public and then moving forward from there.
Sharing is good. Sharing is good.
I'm
not saying it's not good.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just seen it and I'm not sure if you guys use this term or not, the Latinx. I know it's more of a newer term, but, speaking from my ethnic group, we use Latino, Latina, Hispanic, Mexican, so this is a newer term, just so you know, so it might not be as familiar to like my old school citizens in that of the community, so. I don't know if that's just a term you guys use or if it was on the survey or not. So I'm just bringing a point for the future for our city of Saginaw. I mean, we don't identify that in my ethnic group. It's more of a newer term, so.
Thank you. I will say that we put a number of different terms, I think, on, I think we had Latino, Latina, Latinx, and Hispanic on the survey, as, the option line, just because, trying to account for different ways that people identify. But that is how I presented it on the slides, and I'm open to feedback if there is a better way to present those results.
Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching in the Latino community here in the city of Saginaw for a long time, and this term is more newer. So those are the terms that we're more comfortable with. And
Okay.
coming from my background, just.
Well, thank
so
you.
know.
I
Yeah.
certainly want to present things in ways that people are
That's why I
comfortable
asked,
with.
Councilman Flores, how did he identify? Because he's not too much younger than me, but. I'm
Okay.
kind of old school, but yeah.
I can,
Councilwoman Sylvia.
Jesus. Okay. Hope this is good, but I just want to know about the gift cards. How did that?
They haven't gotten to that point yet. Any other questions? Do we have any other questions?
Mayor, I was
Okay.
gonna make a joke, but we can do without it. If you'd switch the X and just make it a Latin plus, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he's newer generation.
Generation.
I should have listened to him the first time. Continue without him talking. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I just want to thank Anna publicly, just for the work, as well as Council, Mayor Pro Tem, the countless rescheduling of meetings and making sure we met consistently, to see how we got this information out. I think the biggest thing that I even learned through this process, I'm gonna speak to it, is just really the silos of where we are. I mean, I would stop by one church and they would ask me, well, did so-and-so know? And I'm like, well, I thought y'all were part of the same group. And they were like, well, we are, but, we don't talk like, and I'm just like, come on, just share the information. So it was just really a learning opportunity for me, and the assumptions, I'll put it that way, the assumptions I had that although we may see each other in certain places, and the communication is not always shared that way. And I also want to thank city staff, because there were times that we opened up their office so we can have surveys completed, and I thank you for allowing us to overtake your space to do all of that work. And I'm looking forward to what will come out of this and how we move forward, because as you all said, working in the Housing Commission and seeing when we are going for additional dollars, and because of our score, because of the location of things, our scoring is not as strong. for simple things like a grocery store. And it hurts to be a city council person and you have an organization telling you, well, if you want it, you might have to move to the township. You know, I don't want that. That should not be the reason, one of the reasons why our score is where it is. And so, once again, I'm still always open if we want to have more conversations about food. I'm during this process learning, I'm just loving it. And I really look forward to where we're going with this and what we will see. One thing that we didn't talk about was the community-funded grocery store. And part of me understand going out trying to get people to share the information, I understood why. And I hope as we continue to move forward that whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is that kind of keeps us from sharing information, from being willing to sit down and put our own thoughts and agendas aside for one particular goal, that we can really move forward in that and really work towards solving the solution of food insecurity in the city of Saginaw.
Hopefully.
Thank you, Anna, and I want to thank Councilman Copeland and Mayor Pro Tem Bench too for all the work they've been doing on this. If you don't think there was enough community input, it wasn't for their lack of trying. You know, they were out there hustling, trying to get people to respond to this. And also, one more point, the SCDC has funds available. They have funds to loan out, and they have loaned to grocery stores in the past. So it's another option for funding additional
Can you
stores.
repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The SCDC has loaned to privately owned grocery stores to start up as well in the past, so they have money to loan to. So if you know people that are interested in that, send them to Ms. Bland and her staff and could get additional information about that. And Madam Mayor, that concludes the management update.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Councilman Copeland.
The last thing I would this is what I wanted to do at the last meeting, but I wanted an update from our manager. Last year, I brought up about reviewing our vision and our city statements, and we had talked about that being done either 2017, 2013. Just wanted to see if we could have a conversation of bringing that back to the top forefront, are we in a space to update those, have the conversation, and see where we are as a community, to see if there's some new priorities that we utilize that kind of guides us as a community for the next 5 or 10 years.
You said yes.
Yeah, we can look at that. We've already been talking about that.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. Madam Clerk.
Our next item is the consent agenda.
The consent agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city webpage and on SGTV Channel 191. I need a motion to approve the agenda, leaving room for exceptions.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have any exceptions?
Yes, ma'am. Number 5.
Do I have any more? We're taking a vote on all but number 5. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Madam Clerk.
Item number 5 is to approve the urban cooperation agreement with Spalding Township for inspections, planning, and zoning services. That was Councilman Balls.
Thank you so much. I don't have a problem with us having an urban agreement with Spalding Township. I just don't like the price. I know we paying more for vehicles, we paying more for gas, and we paying more for wages. And we sending our people out there in the township to do their work because it's cheaper for them to hire us than it is for them to have their own people. So that's not making any sense to us. I mean, they're using us, and I don't like being used as a city. You know, I work with people that live in Spalding Township, and I don't like the way they talk about me, Saginaw, at work. I don't like it because they use us. They ride through the city, come in and work, go right on all the way back through the city, and go home. Don't buy no gas, don't buy no groceries. And they talk about us, talking about how terrible we are, but yet they want to use our services. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. I mean, I don't know how long this agreement been going on for that amount of money, but if we did it 2 years ago or 3 years ago for the same amount, I know damn well we should be charging them more now. So that's why I'm not agreeing with this. We need to go back to the table, do some negotiating. I mean, we already sending our water out to all the townships around here, and they have cheaper water rates than the people in the city have. I don't like that either. I mean, they study using us, and the city going down, and they building up. That's not fair to us. So, I'm voting no on this, and if anything else come up water rates, if I could, I would vote down on that too, because, and then we have to put salt on the roads in the wintertime so they can drive through our city to go to work. And then we hurry up and get our butt back out there and put salt on the roads so they can get out of the city in the evening time. I'm tired of being used. So I'm not gonna agree with this agreement.
Okay.
There's no question? Okay.
No, you please explain, because the audience only knows part of what he's saying. Can
So
you
I'm
get
like-
some clarity?
So why the rates haven't went up? I mean, you said that the agreement didn't go up two or 3 years ago, the last time we signed this? How many years ago was that?
No, it went up at the last agreement, which started in 2021 or 2021 through 2024. And then this would be a continuation. Spalding has only had one new building built in the last 3 years. We do some inspections and things. We do track our hours and everything for Spalding. It's just a very small township without too much going on.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, I see our trucks all out in the township everywhere. I be wanting to pull them over and say, wait, what you guys doing out here? I know we got water stations and stuff like that, but it amazed me to see how many of our trucks just outside the city. So,
I will say we don't lose money on any of these contracts that we have, and when we started doing some of these agreements, we only did it because it's beneficial to both entities. So we're not reducing the amount of work that the inspectors do in the city, but we're bringing in money from these other communities, so essentially.
so you're saying we are making a profit?
No, we're not making a profit, sir. We're not allowed to make a
Track
profit.
so that we're charging accordingly.
Yes.
We used to have we actually used to bring in over $100,000 worth of revenue from the different communities, but it has slowed down to now Spalding Township is the only one that we still provide these
Right,
services for.
so that was the reason behind doing it. We wouldn't have done it if we thought that, we were subsidizing development in another community, but we wanted to be able to maintain our staff and bring in revenue to that department. So essentially, we're funding it with less general fund money than we used to spend on inspections, right? Because we haven't increased the staff to do this. We're still doing all of our permitting work here, and we're bringing in revenue, so we're reducing our cost, our general fund cost to do inspections.
Well, I'm glad I brought that up, because if we don't know, we don't know. I mean, you didn't put that in the explanation in the back, so, and when how long ago was it when we had other counties and other municipalities supposed to be doing this work for? Was that a couple of 2 or 3 years ago? We was doing it in more counties?
Yeah, a few of them stopped in 2021. I'm not sure before then, honestly.
2021? That's probably when we had an inspection retire, and now they out doing all the work all over the damn county now. Huh? So they
I don't know.
It's amazing how, how stuff like this work, man. It just amazed me,
It will say that if we can help the other communities and bring the money in, it's beneficial to us, but it is very, very difficult at this time, and I know you're aware of the opportunities, Councilman Balls, but it's very difficult even for a community of our size to hire plumbing inspectors, electrical inspectors, because there's a lot of trade work out there, and there's not a lot of people who have the licenses that have the ability to do those kind of inspections. So we did, I think, get a good electrical inspector recently, so that extra work helps bring that into the department.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Mayor, you need a motion to continue any type of discussion.
Make a motion to move number 5.
I need a second. I need a motion to move number 5.
Oh, second.
It's been moved in second. Open for discussion. Councilwoman Sylvia.
Yeah, I just have a question. If we're not getting a profit, are we losing anything? I mean, if we're not getting a profit, are we losing? That's the only thing I
We're
want to know.
charging the cost, what it costs us to provide the service.
Okay, exactly, okay, that's all I want to know. Thank
Any
you
other
so very
discussion?
much.
It's a motion on the floor. It's been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No, we had nobody. Did you oppose? Councilman Ball.
Did you hear me? I didn't say anything.
Okay. Well, she looked at me and I'm like, did he say somebody here? Okay.
All right, motion is approved.
Motion approved.
That takes us to board, commission, and committee reports.
Boards and commission. Anybody have anything to report on boards and commission? Yes, Councilman Copeland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to share, we have guests this evening. This Thursday at 4 p.m., the Saginaw Housing Commission, we are meeting at our location on Norman Street at 4 p.m. I just heard earlier about something about housing. So this Thursday at 4 p.m. at the Saginaw Housing Commission, we will be meeting for our monthly meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Report out.
Yes, the city, school, county liaison group met on Thursday. We had a presentation from the gal who is part of the Memorial Cup, and we learned lots of new exciting information. There's going to be lots of youth activities, lots of activities. Outside of the game, I think everything that they are doing is pretty much free for the community. Obviously, they'll have vendors and things like that we can spend our money on, but it is going to be, even if hockey is not for you, I'm not a big hockey fan myself, but I'm very excited that we're having this event. But if it's not for you, you will have ample things to do to entertain yourself during the 10 days. We also had some conversations around housing and ways we can incentivize getting our school employees and our city employees to live here. Obviously, these NEZ zones are something that NEZs are something that is beneficial. I know that the school board had talked about Renaissance zones, and I had brought that up to Cassie, but I think there were a couple of items that we were hoping maybe in another month or two, we can invite Mrs. Zimmerman to come and attend or present and discuss with us. Mrs. Zimmerman. But if that's all right. But other than that, we're moving along. They are also asking for email suggestions, still open to ideas that you think would be good collaborative efforts for the three governing bodies. And I'll defer to Tim, since he was there, in case I'm forgetting anything from the meeting that I should add or not. But other than that, that's it.
Councilman Boss. City manager, you shake your
Yeah, I don't think she forgot anything.
Look, gotta ask the question. What else? What's next? Yes, Councilman.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to let everybody know that the Planning Commission is meeting tomorrow here in the council chambers at 6:30. Some of the items on our agenda for tomorrow, there's a public hearing for site plan review for proposed takeout restaurant. Also, we're going to be discussing our capital improvement plan, so this is something that we do every year, referred to as a SIP plan. So those are projects that we will be prioritizing that are either doing right now or we'll be looking at for the future, like even road construction. They're going to be doing their annual report, and that's about it. The other thing too is I sit on the board of directors for the Potter Street Station, and we recently have purchased a bunch of material to secure and fix the roof, so that's all nicely tucked away inside the station. However, we are trying to get a lift, so and then the cold weather set in. So, but our plan and our goal is to keep that building standing because Stars Transportation does have a definite interest in that building. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. I guess I should report. I met with the airport commission met. We're moving along. We're trying to get MBS on the map. And I think that the new marketing strategy that they're working on is good. All they got to do is get the flights a little cheaper Even out the MVS, because I think all of us should run the MVS, so.
Player prices.
It's like we're continually talking on how to improve the quality of travel, and you'll be surprised at the things that they're trying to do. Anybody else? Madam? Yes.
For the airport, have they ever, had any talks about bringing in another service airline? Because we just have Delta and United, have they thought about?
You know what? Yes, they've been working with it, but because, again, numbers, no. They want money. We're not Metro, we're not O'Hara, we're not, we're not a big airport. Okay, but they are working on getting in some other, the director is actually actively always working on trying to get other airlines to come in. Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
That takes us to ordinance adoption. We have one on the agenda. It's amending the official city map to vacate the northerly portion of North Charles Street, lying south of the south line of Weiss Street, extending south approximately 106.84 feet.
I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved to second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Madam Clerk?
That takes us to resolutions. We have one approving the submission of 2 CMF DNR Spark Grant applications for the rehabilitation of the Riverfront/Iron Bell Trail.
I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved to second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Takes us to miscellaneous business.
Do we have any motions on the floor? Hearing none. Don't y'all move. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're dismissed. Everybody have a great week.